Welcome, mortals, to the Parallax Podcast. On today's episode, we're deciding disappearance or carefully orchestrated exit. Was Brian Shaffer running from something? Let's find out from his childhood friend, Chrissy, otherwise known as my co-host, Karisa.
Hey, Willow.
Hey, are you in your comfy clothes?
Absolutely in my comfy clothes in the comfort zone.
Yes, I'm also in my super comfy clothes with my decaf coffee because I also have to sleep tonight.
Right? Gosh, I don't have any decaf coffee on me, or I would have totally made me a cup because I love me the flavors of decaf.
Carissa.
I know.
Disappointment. Shame.
Do not put me in the what is it, the little thing they put over your head, like the for shame.
For shame. Is it
the shackle
gosh.
thingy, like where you put your arms in your head?
Oh, that is the shackle. Is that the shackle?
Is it called the shackle?
That's not the shackle.
No, you put your head in there and your arms, and you're like, they throw tomatoes at you. I don't remember.
They throw tomatoes at you. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I'm not familiar with all the titles of all the torture devices.
Unfortunately, I am familiar with a few of them because I did visit the torture museum in, where was it? I think it was in Augustine, in Florida.
Augustine?
Yeah.
Really? Interesting.
It was something else.
It was like one of the first settled places in the Americas by the Spaniards. Yeah,
it was
like
really cool.
1500s.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's morbid to say I enjoyed it, but we're also doing this podcast. That shouldn't be too much of a surprise.
An inkling to what it is. Okay, so this episode has been something I have looked forward to even before I had a podcast. And it has been an episode that I've wanted to cover because I've listened to a lot of podcasts on Brian Shaffer. I've read a lot about it. But for those who don't know, I actually grew up with Brian. I have pictures I sent you of me and Brian.
She was the cutest little toe-headed blonde, by the way.
Yes.
I'm just going to throw that out there.
That was my mom took a picture of us and we got married that day.
Oh my gosh.
Brian, so for those listening, we're gonna tackle this case a little differently. We are gonna do it in 2 episodes. We're gonna
Two-parter.
We're gonna start off early with some 2-parters in this podcast series. So for me, I wanted to kind of give you, because Willow knows nothing about this case.
Literally nothing. I think I've heard like whispers of it. Like I may have heard a sentence or two about it before, but that is it. That's all I know.
Yeah. But I want to kind of give you a little background. So Brian and I were neighbors on Easthaven in Columbus, Ohio. A lot of times when you hear he grew up in Pickerington, he did not grow up in Pickerington. He grew up in Columbus. We lived on Easthaven Drive, which is off of Refugee Road. And his parents, they moved to Pickerington. So yes, he grew up part of his life in Pickerington, which is near Lancaster, Ohio, for those that are familiar with Ohio. But I knew him because he lived right next door, and his little brother, Derek, such the cutest little kid. But we spent so much time together. I mean, our parents spent social hours together playing euchre and drinking whatever they were drinking.
That is such a Midwest game. Nobody here in the South has heard of it.
Well,
and
we had to. They don't know how to play it though.
Yeah, my family had to teach my husband how to play it when we went up there. Unfortunately, it was for my grandmother's funeral, but the entire family taught him how to play it because they're like, let's play euchre, and he was just staring at all us like we had extra heads.
I wish my fam knew how to play it more, and I could do that. But I did teach my husband how to play chess recently, though.
There you go. I just had such like the Midwestern in me just flourished.
Just pop right out. Yeah. But I wanted to cover this from my perspective because a lot of times when I would hear podcasts, I'd always think when they're talking about his dad, when they're talking about his mom, when they're talking about Brian, I wish they had a little bit more context of who he was from what I knew growing up. And again, a lot of things can change between when I stopped having communications with him until, he went missing. But as I listened to stuff, I don't think much had changed in the dynamic of certain relationships, and it kind of still sat through there. So I want to kind of give that context along with give the case, and then we want to talk about some theories. So
I'm so excited for this. I'm so ready. I've been telling you all day how excited I am.
All right. Let's get to it. So Brian Randall Shaffer. His dad's name was Randall, so his middle name was Randall too. He was 9 months younger than me. He was born in February of 1979. I was May of 1978. I am 47. Anyways.
Yeah, and you look like you're, I don't know, like 20?
Thank you, girl.
No problem here for you.
So much love. And yeah, we were very close in age. We grew up right next to each other. We did so much together. We had, which I'm going to get into that stuff, but we were very close as children. And
Well,
then
yeah, you
I
got
visited
married.
him a few I'm sorry?
I said, well, yeah, you got married.
Right, we got married. Don't tell my husband. No, I'm kidding. He knows. I don't think I got that. Yeah, I didn't get that one annulled.
Whoops.
Well, you know what's really ironic though? He went missing exactly 1 week before I got married.
Really?
To the day. 1 week.
That
to the
is.
day. Yeah.
That's.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yep. April
Yeah.
1st,
That's.
April 1st, 2006. I was
My
I was married on April
gosh.
8th, 2006.
Ooh,
Yeah.
chills.
Right?
Chills.
All right. I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes because the Cliff Notes are a lot faster than if I give you all of this information because there's so much information. And there are a lot of amazing podcasts out there that cover this. The True Crime Garage, I think it's based in Ohio, but I'm not 100% sure. I've listened to a few of their things. I'm not a loyal listener. Like, I don't have time for that, but I do resort to their podcasts when I'm listening to True Crime and to Morbids. I don't think Morbid's ever covered this one, but I knew the True Crime Garage has, and they do an excellent job of it. And I've listened to their episodes in the past and really appreciate the effort they put into it. But when I listen to it, I'm always like, I want to tell these guys what I know. But
yeah. Like that. There's a whole nother side to it.
A whole nother side to Brian, because I hear their theories, and I mean, they always have like, oh, who was let's talk about the victim. We really don't know. We're only getting context from, the people who loved him, who aren't going to say anything bad about him. Right. So let's get into the nitty gritty. So Brian he graduated and then he went to the Ohio State University.
Ohio State.
And after like 6 years after high school, he got his microbiology degree.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right. And then he went into the Ohio State University, the medical college, to get because he was planning to be a doctor.
He's really smart. He's like determined.
He's extremely smart. He was a nerd. He was my, with Star Wars, all those things that.
Oh, we love it. We stand for that.
Yes, we absolutely stand for that, especially when you and I are like avid like nerds ourselves. Okay. So spring break for Ohio State University students had come to kind of like a point where like they've gone through this excruciating testing. Everybody's exhausted. All this is done. And now it's time for spring break. This weekend was going to kick off with him, having dinner with his dad. They're supposed to have a steak dinner with his dad on Friday. He was supposed to meet up with his brother Derek and his girlfriend at the Funny Bone, which is a comedy club. Then he was supposed to go out with his friends. And then his girlfriend, who was supposed to be like in Toledo, Ohio, seeing her family, they were going to meet back up on Monday, and they were going to fly out to Miami for a spring break trip. That was the plan. He meets with his friends. This is after he doesn't meet up with his brother. I don't know the exact reason. There's no this is only like his brother saying, it just didn't work out or something. Okay. But at 9:00, he meets up with his friend Clint Florence. Okay. And they go to the Ugly Tuna Saloona. Now, this is on High Street. Okay. And the way Columbus is set up, I know it's funny. Ugly Tuna
Saloona. I was like, that is quite a name.
This was fairly a new bar at the time. Not like brand new, but it was fairly a new salon or Saloona. Saloona. It was a new Saloona. The way High Street is set up, you could literally drive down High Street and you kind of start like there's like a German Village, which is a little brick town. It's really cute. I love it. And then you kind of go into the brewery district. There's the Short North. There's the Arena district. There's all these different districts you kind of hit. And there's bars along the way. There's restaurants. There's art galleries. There's all these different things at different points. Some areas are closer to Ohio State University. Okay, the further north you go on there. But anyway, so they started the Ugly Tuna Saloona, which is about 6 blocks from Brian's residence at the time. And then they go down High Street. Now they're going south down High Street, and they're like hitting bars. And supposedly, according to Clint, they hit these bars and do a shot each, okay, at each bar. Okay, so 10:00, he calls his girlfriend. They have a recording of this call, and he just says she's the greatest person in the world. She's great. Oh, I love you.
Is that like when you have a little bit to drink and all of a sudden you're just so kind to
feeling
everyone?
Mushy and warm inside? It must be. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're bar hopping, and so now Brian is at 6'2". He's more of a taller, slender person.
I was about to say, so he's pretty tall. Like he's easy to spot type of thing.
Yeah, you can't miss him in a crowd. Right. After midnight, Clint's friend Meredith, when I've listened to different reports and things like that of people said, supposedly Brian did not like Meredith, but she was their ride to go back to the Ugly Tuna Saloona. Okay. Even though Brian was against it, supposedly, Meredith comes and she's hanging out with them and she takes them back to the Ugly Tuna Saloona. And then somewhere, now the Ugly Tuna Saloona, when you go in, this is a small area. There's construction around it because they're building it up and they're trying to make it more advantageous for college students to be like safe. There's a lot of shops going in. There's all these things. The Ugly Tuna Saloona is upstairs. Okay, you have to go up an escalator. That's the only entrance in for customers. Okay. When you get into the bar,
it's better than going upstairs when you're drunk.
Well, it's an escalator, one way in, one way out, technically. So Brian is seen going in with Clint and Meredith, caught on camera.
Gotcha.
Then at another point, he's caught on camera on the balcony with two girls who later say that he was aggressively flirting with them, but yet they still gave him their numbers.
Right. Like, okay.
He's aggressive, but we gave him our numbers.
Yeah, no.
But
I feel like, yeah. I don't know. I have thoughts.
I have thoughts. And then at some point, whether this is right before or right after, there's a time frame. This is at like 1:55 he saw going back. It's like a small area where there's technically a little blind spot, but not enough that he would know where that blind spot was. And then like the bar closes at 2. But his friend Clint and Meredith say they ask him, hey, it's time to go. He's like, well, I'm going to go talk to the band. And then they never see him again. Now, they say the space is a square and it's not very big and you can see everybody in the room. It's not like so big that you wouldn't be able to see someone from the other corner of the room. And the band is kind of like the stage is very low to where people can hand the band drinks and it's very informal when it comes to the way this is set up. As far as it's not like the band's so high up that you can't even like reach them kind of thing.
Yeah, like this is an easy thing to just walk up, hey.
Yeah, it wasn't uncommon for people to hand the band a drink and for the band members, I guess, themselves to be a little drunk or whatever. Okay.
I mean, that makes sense.
Right. So now Clint and Meredith, they leave because they can't find Brian. They're calling him and Meredith leaves him a message like, where the F are you kind of thing. And then so they just go on. But at the same time, as friends, you'd be like, he's probably walked home or whatever. He's 6 blocks from there. And then he doesn't answer his phone. His girlfriend can't get a hold of him. All these things are happening. Do you know when he's reported missing?
When did they report him missing?
When he did not show up for his flight.
2 days Shut up.
On Monday.
Bro, okay, well,
now,
there you go. That's why.
Now, supposedly they went and they searched, the trash, the garbage bins. They called, they tried, they did all these things, but they did not get police involved until Monday. Now, that means there's a whole nother night of bar activity.
Yeah, so now, like, the entire scene, it's already messed up. Like, you're not going to get any kind of clues because it's already compromised.
Right.
Anything they could have found is compromised immediately.
Right. Yes. Okay. Here's the scene. Now police are involved. Something that makes this case very internet grabby, like clickbait, is Brian is seen going in on the escalator, and every single person who left that bar is accounted for going out except for Brian. Okay. Now, let's talk about cameras. Columbus has a lot of cameras.
I was about to say.
Columbus has a lot of CCTV, and at the time, we were thinking, oh, maybe he went out the back. There's technically 2 ways he could have went out the other way. He could have went out the exit that the band went out. There's no camera by that exit door. However, there is a hallway that leads to that exit that there is a camera that covers it. So to get to that exit door, you have to go down that hallway.
He would have been caught on camera if he went down.
He would have been caught that way. And then there's also the fire exit that would make people, it says, if you open this fire exit, it's going to make a noise. And I mean, this can't be legitimized. Like, this can't be quote unquote, like validated. But some people say, oh, you knew that you can go through that door without it going off. But Brian was not a regular there. Brian would not have known unless he watched someone. Yeah,
he wouldn't have known unless, someone took him or he watched someone go out that door.
Unless he'd been drinking. That would, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if he's been drinking since like 9, he's pretty sloshed right now.
And, whatever. Okay. Here's the thing. Like, his mom, 3 weeks before that, died of cancer.
No. Oh my gosh.
Renee was an amazing woman and she was really good for her boys. And he was very close to his mom. He was a mama's boy. Like,
my gosh.
Even growing up, I guess that is rumored even later in life that people would say he's a mama's boy. He was always that way. And my first thought when I didn't even know the context of the story. I didn't know he had like the whole, whatever. I just knew he would went missing. My mom had called me, hey, Brian Shaffer's missing. I'm like, wait, what? And when she's like, yeah, Renee died, and then Brian's missing, I'm like, my first thought, he's ran away. My first thought was,
Yeah.
he's found an escape. One, because I know how his dad was. Randy was a very aggressively person, like his way or the highway. Randy didn't care to be sexually forceful with his wife in front of me. Like, I witnessed a lot of things. And we're neighbors. But see, I know how my stepdad was. When those two men are friends, I think they're somewhat of a pair.
Gosh. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
wow. I mean,
and Renee was a
gosh.
genuine angel. She was amazing. Like I loved that woman. She was so sweet to those boys. She'd do anything for them. She was a nurse. But I feel like, I was never a huge fan of when Randy would come home from work when we would be playing, because the energy would feel different.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing. I don't want to speak ill of the dead, because 2 years later, freak accident, Randy is struck by lightning in his backyard.
Okay, that's not a freak accident. That's
sorry.
karma. I'm sorry.
No. A branch in his backyard is struck by lightning and falls on him and kills him. And this is the thing. So then there's stories. So they were meeting for dinner at 9:00. No, 9:00 was when he met with his friend. I'm sorry. They were meeting for dinner for steak earlier in the evening is what they were talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
Him and his dad. And people are like, yeah, supposedly they were meeting to see if they could work out having a relationship after his mom died. Okay, because
so they didn't have much of a relationship.
And people, I don't know, people think that their relationship was a newly strained thing, but growing up, he was so mean to Brian. And then you could see Brian learned a lot of that stuff, and sometimes he would take it out on his little brother, Derek. I mean, I'm sure there was something when they were growing up, because I know Derek has reported that even they had some rough teenage years together. I saw it rough when Brian would treat his little brother kind of almost like how his dad would treat him. And then
he's so young.
Derek got treated like the baby.
Yeah. I mean, he's so young. He doesn't know. I mean, obviously doesn't understand what he's seeing. And gosh, I mean, I grew up in a family where things would sometimes be volatile, and I definitely would watch as each sibling would find a different sibling to take things out on. When you're that young, you have no idea how to deal with the emotions that are associated with these circumstances.
Yeah. Now, there are varying reports that supposedly Brian told his girlfriend to move on and to just forget about him prior to all this.
Oh my gosh.
People were saying, her family and her and a few other people, oh yeah, he was going to propose to her. We think he was going to propose to her in Miami. First of all, no proof that he ever bought a ring.
Yeah.
No credit card statements that said he bought a ring. And would this not be something he would tell his dad at steak dinner?
I don't think so. Well, okay, yes and no. Yes, maybe if he's trying to have a new relationship, maybe he's like, hey, part of the reason why I want to try to have a relationship with you is because I want to do this. But I could also see it as him not telling his dad because he just doesn't have that relationship. I mean, all the love to my dad. We've gotten a lot better over the years. But I mean, there's definitely times where I'm like, I'm not telling my dad that.
There was also reports that Brian was upset with his dad because while his mom was going through chemo and going through cancer, Randy was stepping out. Listen, I'm not a Randy fan. Sorry.
Oh my gosh. No, I don't blame you. Why would you? Yeah. I hate cases like this.
They did not have a great relationship. So anybody on the internet saying that, they were, Randy's speaking so highly of his son. Whatever, Randy. When
he's speaking highly of his son after the
saying
fact.
All these things about him, like he was, all these great things, which you're not going to, if your kid's missing, you're not going to say anything bad. I'm not saying that. No. But I don't think Randy truly knew what Brian wanted. Brian was a guitar player. Brian wasn't he was into nerd things. Now, he was extremely smart. I mean, he had a microbiology degree. But part of me wonders, did he want to do this to please his family, to do something in that route? Because he's also the type of person who kind of lived a hippie phase in his life where he wanted to live on the road playing his guitar.
Wow.
There's that side of him. And he supposedly has joked about just running off.
Well,
this
honestly,
was on April Fools.
Gosh, after going through losing his mom, losing a parent at any age is really, really difficult, but especially one who he's probably held so close, given that he didn't really have a father figure to be close to, so to speak. His dad was there, but obviously that relationship was not good. I can't even imagine. I mean, I lost my mom at 14 years old, and I was always so incredibly close with her because she was like my safety. And I imagine that's probably how his mom was to him. So
Oh my gosh, yes.
I couldn't imagine going through that, knowing, maybe feeling kind of alone because he knows that he doesn't have his father to lean on. And I don't really know exactly how relationships were with his brothers, but it kind of sounds like they were also just a little
He only had one brother.
different. Only
He only
one?
had one
Okay.
brother. His brother was younger than him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounds like maybe it was just a little different, like maybe not how you would expect siblings to be.
I can't speak for like anything after 7th grade. So, yeah, I mean, when Brian moved to Pickerington, that was a little further from Columbus, but we did visit their house. I remember their house. It was like a ranch style house and had a basement, and they did have a really nice backyard with these tall trees on the edge of the property. But they had this room. I remember they just got this house, and Brian wanted to show me this new hiding spot because that was something that Brian and I did a lot. Was we built forts, especially out of cardboard. We always had forts.
Building
We'd always have like
forts.
something. We had
Oh my
some kind of
gosh.
fort. We'd always have some kind of space. I had a basement that we could go down in, and like I had like a playroom that we could like pretend. And
Yeah.
then behind our house in Columbus, there were these soybean fields. Yeah. In the center of that was a space that the farmers didn't cut down. There was like this huge tree. And of course, I was so tiny. I was like, 1 foot tall. Now I'm only
That's
2 foot
rude.
tall. But there was this huge tree in the center. And for me at that age, it seemed way bigger than it probably actually is. But there was a tree that had a hollowed out center that was kind of our little clubhouse.
That's
and then
amazing.
And then
My
we had these little
gosh.
pathways we'd kind of created. And it was our little space that we would just kind of escape, I had a toxic stepdad and he had a toxic dad. So we kind of met together a lot, and we
Yeah.
didn't even, kids, we didn't know that. We were just escaping to our own little fantasy worlds back in the day. So there was a
I mean,
lot of that.
he definitely could have reverted back to that, just escape, just get away. I mean,
I mean,
and it's the other thing is too that I think a lot of people don't understand. Not saying that he did just run away because I don't know. I mean, there's still more to this case that I have to
Oh,
learn.
girl,
But
you have no idea.
yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, I know there's more. But I think a lot of people don't realize that even if somebody like appears like they have everything going for them, he's got his girlfriend, he's got this trip he's going on, he's going to school, that doesn't mean that that person actually sees it that way. Like his view of reality could have been completely different from everyone else looking in. He really could have been like, this life isn't for me and I just need to like reinvent myself. Again, I think there's a lot more for me to learn, so I might be changing my tune here very soon, but still, that's just something that I think of. I'm like, people just don't really actually think about that person's perspective of reality is not the same as yours.
Right. You can't, and I mean, you could always look at someone like, yes, on the surface they're a medical student, yes, on the surface they were drunk, but you don't know the context of anything that brought them to where this is. Now, with that said, let's get into a little bit of the case. That way, when we do the second part and you have a little bit of chance to kind of think about it, some of these things can stir in your mind, because here's where it gets crazy. Now, like I said, the escalator up and down shows Brian going in, but does not show Brian going out. Now, there was a time they could not find this orange sweatshirt guy, and they ended up finding the person who it was, and he had just put that on because he got cold. He didn't look the same going in as he did coming out. They literally tracked down everybody on the escalator. Everybody was accounted for. Okay?
Wow.
Yeah. Now, so when it comes to the other locations, once police get invested, they did like a grid search. There's so much TV cameras or, the CCTV stuff that they were able to kind of see. There's not really any angle that he could have got out
Without being
that
seen.
makes sense. I mean, there were theories that he was packed in the band's guitar case or something.
I literally was about to say I have heard of a case where a guy murdered no, he didn't actually murder them. He attacked them and thought he murdered them. They didn't actually end up dying, but he stuffed this person into a suitcase and rolled them out of a hotel. And that was the only, like, they finally figured out, because when this one person was watching the footage, they saw how he had to like heave the suitcase over a lip in the floor, and that's the only reason they were like, oh, she's in that suitcase. And so I was about to be like, did they put him into a case because they could have. But he's also like 6'2". How do you do
But
that?
at the same time, there were the band and a few of their friends that were all with them and loading stuff into their Explorer and like the vehicle that they had. So you're gonna have a whole group of people conspiring to
Yeah.
hide this
I was
body
about to
of
say
this
that's a
stranger.
lot of people to be like, yeah, sure,
Conspire
let's
for the
take you
in a
out.
in a 5 minute time frame.
Yeah. That's
You
a
know what I mean?
lot to try and put together,
Essentially,
especially if
yeah.
everyone's drunk
Right.
or not
Right.
completely sober.
Right. And anyways, the thing is, when you start to think about the location of this place, some people would even theorize it. Like I said, it was a construction zone, but like you could get to this bar, and there was some, and it wasn't construction zone where it's like you fall into a deep pit and you die. Could you get injured? Absolutely, you could get injured because people were thinking, well, maybe he fell into a construction site and then they drywalled over top of him or concreted over top of him. But it wasn't a deep hole where you wouldn't see a body laying there.
Yeah. And I feel
And then
like
you're going to tell me
there's
people literally like, you know what? There's a body there. I don't want to get in trouble, so I'm just going to like cover it up.
ain't no way. The only people who concrete over bodies and drywall over bodies are people who know they're there and they're doing it for a reason.
It's called the mob.
Yeah, exactly. They're not
Called the
doing
mob.
it like, oh, there's a body. Well, I don't want to get in trouble. No, they're like, put it there.
Mhm.
They're paying somebody off in order to do it. And I this does not sound like a situation where someone has been paid off to
Right.
concrete over some kid's body under the, what is it? The Tuna Saloona?
The Ugly Tuna
Ugly
Saloona.
Tuna Saloona. Yeah.
And it still exists there. I mean, it's the landscape is, you know, as far as that part of High Street has changed a little bit. There's a lot more shops there, you know, and a lot of the things are there. There's even a parking garage behind. Like, it's one of those well-lit parking garages, even back then, that you would feel safe walking through.
Is
So
the
there's
entire area well lit too? Just like, was it always pretty well lit or?
For the most part, it was very well lit to where even now you'd probably feel safe walking there at 4 a.m. because it's a college area. They were trying to build it up to make sure it was safe for college kids in that area. But for the camera views, there was like so many angles that the blind spots were so minimal that he would almost, the 6'2" person would have to like almost shimmy themselves around little, you know, blind spots, you know, here and there, like between a bathroom, the two bathrooms in a hallway, or when you go from the balcony back in, there's like a small little corner. You would have to really know where those blind spots are. I mean, unless you're
he'd have to go
planning
through
on
and
leaving,
yeah.
unless you're planning on leaving and you know where those blind spots are because he was not a regular there, how would you know? But he was there.
I mean, there's no way.
And he went back. So I'm wondering, why did they go back? I think maybe Clint's car might have been there at the parking garage. And that's why they went back? Possibly? I don't know.
Thoughts?
Yes. So his girlfriend was calling him. I guess that someone went over to his apartment, his space or whatever. It didn't look like anything had been touched or anything taken. And I think maybe 3 weeks or 3 months, I can't remember the number. It's 3 something, I don't know. It got broken into. No one, at that point, the cops had kind of taken a lot of the stuff out of it.
It got broken
Into. I mean, it's a college campus, though.
I guess that's
was
true.
it Brian? You know, was it Brian? Okay. Well, let's talk about so his girlfriend was calling his phone every day, trying to get, where's his cell phone? You know, and it wasn't like, it was just going to voicemail. You know, straight to voicemail.
Yeah.
You know how like if your phone's off.
Yeah, it just goes straight. Yeah.
Straight to voicemail. And this happened in April. Now in September of that fall, she called and it rang and it pinged in Hilliard, Ohio. Which is,
I was about to be like, hey, could they track where his phone is?
Well, they couldn't because it was off.
So he turned it back
off.
on.
So
someone turned it back on in Hillman.
In Hilliard?
Or Hilliard.
No, it's okay. And that's like west. But technology says, now if he would have called out, it would have pinged and that would have been more of a guaranteed ping. But since she was calling in, it's not a guarantee that he was his phone was actually on. It's just kind of like, that's just interesting. It could be like just another strange piece to this puzzle. Also, they've had, when they're doing and looking for him, I mean, they drag, and there's the rivers there. They have the Olentangy River that like falls into the Scioto River. They don't think he went there because they dragged the river extensively and found nothing.
Wow.
But I think one psychic tried to say, "Oh, his stomach's injured and he's in the water."
His stomach is injured. That's very
That was what one
specific.
psychic said. But then there's that psychic kids thing. Have you ever heard of that? That'd be a good episode.
No, I don't.
Yeah, there's like a psychic kids group, and they said
so
someone was watching him from the balcony, and they knew he had been there twice that night. That's kind of interesting.
They said it's like someone's watching him over the balcony, or someone is
like
watching.
Almost like someone was watching him from the balcony. I don't know. But he was on
That's
the
not
balcony with those
creepy
two
at all.
girls,
Yeah.
aggressively flirting.
I still have thoughts
I
on
still have
that.
thoughts on that one. Yes, I know. First of all, he's aggressively flirting with both of you, and you're both like, you know what? Yeah, we'll give you both our phone
Yeah,
number.
that's good. Yeah. I mean, which also like, okay, he's drunk. All right. First of all. So I feel like if you, again, he's been drinking since 9. He's already been to several bars. Like he is at
Yeah.
least really nicely tipsy right now. So of course he's going to be like flirty or whatever. But also again, ladies, if somebody is aggressively flirting with you, give them like a fake number. Do not no, that person who's aggressively flirting with you when they're kind of drunk, they're not actually interested in you. They are drunk.
Right. And he has a girlfriend.
They're not safe.
Yeah. Okay. That's the thing though. If he's drunk, and on the video out in the balcony, they say he looks like he's drunk. Based on the video, they see him at like, I think it's at 1:55. This is like 5 minutes before the bar closes. Okay. And then everybody's leaving after 2. There's a 5-minute window. He's aggressively 5 to 10 minutes. Whatever.
Give or take.
Give or take. That you lose track of him. And he's so drunk, he would probably be stumbling. Where would he know where to go?
Yeah.
Was he trapped there for a whole 24 hours? And someone even made the theory like the only other place to do is to go up. Was he stored in the ceiling until they could dispose of the body? They checked the camera for the day after to see if somebody took something out like large. But they did bring cadaver dogs in.
Did he get hit in anything?
Nope.
No.
So if he died, he wouldn't have died there. If they brought in cadaver dogs, the cadaver dogs are trained to smell death.
Mm-hmm. They're not always like 100% accurate, but then again, if they're not hitting on anything, I wouldn't, I'd probably believe that.
Right. And then they had dogs that caught his scent near a Wendy's down the road, but they said they didn't have any kind of cameras that showed him in that vicinity. He literally just vanished. Like, seen going in, never seen coming out.
And there's hardly anywhere for him to have gone where a camera wouldn't have
caught him. And even the blind spot, there's a camera that catches, even if you were able to get out this door, the fire exit, or if you're able to get out this door, there is a camera that's going to catch you at some point.
I just like, my mind is reeling because he really did just disappear into complete nothingness. And the only two immediate thoughts I have is if somebody was targeting him for one reason or another, obviously they knew what they were doing in order to get this 6'2" man to just not be ever caught on any other cameras ever at all.
Mm-hmm. He would almost have to go with someone he trusted. I
was about to say, or he collaborated with somebody he trusted to escape, who helped him escape. Who helped him plan this whole thing.
Let me tell you about his friend Clint.
His friend Clint?
Let me tell you about his friend Clint. Clint is who we met up at 9 o'clock. Sorry. And Clint is also the friend who was very cooperative with police and willing to be helpful. They talked to his parents. He lawyered up, and the only person who wouldn't do a lie detector test.
The only thing I know
your thoughts, but if you have nothing to hide, you should be willing.
That is true. The lie detector. So the only thing I'll say, devil's advocate here, because this is what we do on the Parallax Podcast. If you are ever in a situation where you have to go and do an interview with the police, always consult a lawyer, even if you have nothing to hide, only because there's so many cases where police are able to twist what you say. And, there are a lot of fantastic cops out there. There really are. They're really good investigators, but there's also some out there who are a little morally gray, and that's why we have lawyers. So there's my little pointer.
No, I don't disagree. But
my only other thing is with the lie detector, I too also agree. If you have nothing to hide, you probably are going to be like, okay, let me take this. However,
I'll take it, but can my lawyer be present, please?
Yeah. I mean, the lie detector test is inadmissible in court because it is not actually accurate.
Right,
so I'll give him that, but it's obviously, given the situation, it still makes you kind of, raise an eyebrow.
He also changed his name.
He changed it. All right. Well, I gave him a pointer. I'm not devil's advocating for this man anymore.
I tried. I can't even find him anymore. I think he doesn't even go by Clint. He goes by another name now.
Okay. I tried. We don't stand for Clint anymore. I tried to, no. I mean, you can maybe get away with lawyering up and stuff, but why are you changing your name? Why?
Well, and then I'm going to be the devil's advocate on this one. Because if you are getting a lot of social media hate, or you're getting a lot of social media crap, you're going to change, you're going to you're going to try and hide. So you're not associated with such a big case, I would say. So I could see why someone would do that. Like, I'm going to start going by my middle name.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'll give him that. I guess I can. Yeah. Okay. I guess I can give you the.
We
the
are devil's
social,
advocates on this show where we will try to see both sides.
Yeah. I still, okay, there are people out there who have committed heinous things who have not changed their name, and they're able to live like with a low profile. So,
Yeah, this is just one of those popular things on the internet when anything's mentioned about Brian Shaffer and the craziness behind this case, because it's just like he vanished out of nowhere. And here's the thing. I want to talk about the fact that we don't report this to the cops until after he missed the flight.
Yes.
You know for a fact that if you are dating someone and they don't contact you at least the morning of or the day before that you're doing this flight together, like something's up. Why are you not going to
sorry. Cops? If my husband doesn't call me over lunch when he normally does, I'm texting him like, are you dead?
Excuse me. Why you no call me?
Are you dead? Because that is the only excuse you should have. Not just kidding. But honestly, like if my husband, if I text him and I'm fully expecting that I should be receiving a message back, of course I'm going to be sitting there like messaging his sister. Have you talked to your brother recently?
Days.
No. We're getting maybe 6 hours and I'm already like, okay, there's something wrong. He's dead. Like I do not understand how people wait that long. I mean, I know it's frustrating whenever like cops will sit there and say, well, you have to wait 24 hours, which is a lie, by the way. But how do you just sit there and be like, oh, it's okay that he's not talking to me for this long?
You know he's not at his house. Because supposedly his girlfriend was in Toledo, Ohio, which is about 2.5 hours from Columbus. So she comes back. I guess she can go to his apartment. Nothing's touched. Everything's there. His guitar's there. Everything's still there.
Bro, okay. If he has not talked to her and she goes to the apartment and everything looks like it's untouched.
And he's not sleeping off a hangover.
I am even more concerned because then it makes me think, okay, well, he hasn't been here. Where is he?
Right.
Because then
I'm not discrediting her concern. I'm not discrediting her concern at all. Like I'm sure she was concerned based on the ifs that she would be concerned in this situation. But why not go to the cops? Like he was at a bar. He was never seen coming home. Like, of course they didn't know at the time that he wasn't seen coming home. They didn't know that part yet. They just know he didn't come home. That they know that Clinton Meredith couldn't get a hold of him. He's not at his house. He didn't make it to his house. So he is somewhere between the bar and here. You know,
I mean, does she have like a history with the police for some reason or like, I mean, anything that she needs to hide?
She was a medical student too.
Well, then why? My Lord. Yeah, that just doesn't, and I'm not trying to like poo poo on this person either. That's not, I'm just stating the fact that it is difficult for me to understand that perspective. It's difficult for me to
2 full days. It wasn't even under 2 days. It was 2 full days plus a few.
No,
hours.
Like if it was 24 hours, I would say, okay, maybe she is just operating under that myth that you have to wait 24 hours, but 2 entire days.
Or that he went somewhere else and slept off his hangover.
But why wouldn't he? I don't know, because I would think, okay, if it's one day, maybe you're thinking he's sleeping off his hangover, like you said, but if you get to the next morning Sunday, and he still hasn't said anything, no. Because then I'd be like, okay, is he in a ditch somewhere? Like, did he pass out and he's just out there? Like, I'd be calling hospitals and stuff too. They were okay.
Yeah, supposedly they were looking. They started searching for him. They were looking in dumpsters. They were trying to kind of do that before they got the cops involved. But like,
all right, but y'all,
that's a long time.
If you I'm sorry, but if you ever sit there and think, well, I shouldn't get the police involved because it might be nothing. Just get the police involved. Because if it is something,
before this bar opened again, I'm sure they mopped the floors.
Yeah.
And not realizing, hey, this might have been vomit or it might have been blood from someone getting bludgeoned to death.
I was about to say there actually could have been blood, but again, it's a bar. People are dancing. I am sure that glasses get broken. They get bar fight. Like, I'm sure these things happen. And so they're going to be like, oh, there's some blood on the ground. And they're just going to clean it. Like, oh, yeah, this happened. Like somebody, I remember somebody cut themselves on a broken glass, or yeah, some random drunk guy punched another dude and we let, like, that's something that's going to happen. So especially if it's not a lot. If it was a lot, then I would think any normal person would be like, that's not good. But if it's just a little bit, like somebody maybe just getting knocked out, getting a cut or something, they're just going to clean it up like it's nothing. And also, again, if there was somebody who was targeting him or took care of him, there is a possibility that maybe they work there. Maybe it's somebody who has some kind of shift or something at that bar and was able to clean it up because they have some kind of connection. And so because there's so much time between reporting him missing and when he actually went missing, that's all gone.
So I'm going to be the devil's advocate against Brian now. What if, just like you said, so what if he was aggressively flirting with these girls, and maybe he was flirting with some other girls, someone took offense to it. Somebody that was working at the bar may have had foul play, hid his body somewhere until he could dispose of it. You're not going to see him come out because maybe he's tucked into something. Maybe he's stashed the body away until he can get in there in the morning, clean up his mess. Like, no, was there a person that said, volunteered, I'll come in early and clean everything? I need the extra hours. Was there somebody willing to say the extra mile for the next night shift?
No.
They weren't supposed to be working?
And you don't know the types of characters who were there at that bar, because the other thing
would have been probably fellow students.
Yeah. And the other thing I think about is the amount of like sociopaths or psychopaths that just meld themselves into society, and it takes like one thing for them to snap and do something horrific. So then I'm thinking like, okay, just like you said, if he is flirting with these girls, who knows who came there with him? Who knows if maybe there is somebody who is targeting them, sees him talking to them, sees that the girls are giving him attention, and is like, that's not okay. Like, I want their attention. And that's what it takes to make that person snap.
Right? You don't know what. And then they just came back and disposed of the body a different day. Yeah, you're not going to see the person exit. You're going to see, okay. Now that's one thought process. And before we end this episode, I want to give you one little morsel that the cops in this case don't seem to act as if they ever thought Brian died. I saw that face.
Excuse me?
One of the cops who was a part of the case said, anytime I'm in a large crowd, I'm always looking around to see if it's Brian Shaffer. Cop who's a seasoned veteran is not going to say that if they think it was foul play. They're going to think he somehow escaped based on the evidence and is still living amongst the people. Now, here's a weird one for you. When his dad died 2 years later, they had an online sign-in book where you could sign in and best wishes type situation, like, or not best wishes for your death.
Best wishes, Karisa. You're signing. Can't believe you.
Oh my gosh. Sorry for your loss. Someone signed it. Love your son, the Virgin Islands. Like in there, like there was a little, I'm not going to tell you what it said. I'm going to give you that in the next episode. I wrote it down, but I'm not going to tell you.
Oh my God.
But someone signed in, even though they said it came from I guess it was supposedly, they found out like it wasn't from the Virgin Islands, but I don't know if they actually found out who actually posted it. I don't know if they have a person who did it, but it was from the internet somewhere in like a public area. But anyways, here's the case. Brian disappears just out of thin air. He grew up in kind of a strangely toxic relationship with his dad. Also, him and his brother were set to gain money from their mom's death. And so he doesn't meet up with his brother. He talks to his dad. There's always these theories that maybe he ran away, but he didn't get any of the money. You know what I mean? Then the untimely of his dad's death 2 years later, and now Derek's the only sole survivor.
That is just wild.
There's so many crazy theories out there because, it's a crazy case.
Okay, so basically what you're telling me is part 2, we're just going to have
we're going to talk
an
theories.
absolutely ridiculous conversation.
Yes, we're going to talk about theories. We're going to talk about like other things. I'm going to allow you to stew on this one, to think about it. Like, well, okay, what about this?
Yeah.
What about
That's rude, actually.
Yeah. So just
that this gets to live rent free in my mind for the next 7 days.
Yeah, 7 days.
Gosh, I can't. I cannot believe you've done this to me, because That's what what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sit my husband down and say, okay, we're gonna have a conversation. I'm just gonna
yes, do it. And then like, this is what this is what we need to know. This is what Michael wants to know about this case. This is what
it's gonna be so funny because he's just gonna stare at me and be like, okay.
And honestly, that's one thing my husband, he's like, I'm really surprised they haven't done this case on Unsolved Mysteries.
And honestly, now that you're like telling me about it, I'm kind of surprised that they haven't either, because this is the most unsolved mysteries type case I feel like there is.
Yeah, it's like, here's the thing. When there's someone goes missing, you think about it. There's usually like a few people there and no one sees anything happen, This was a full bar.
I was about to say, who wasn't there to see what happened? How does somebody go missing?
6'2"
in the middle of a crowd that is in a small space?
Yes.
What dimension did he go to?
I'm also going to send you the location on Google Earth so you can see how it's laid out and how this bar looks.
Girl, you are not ready for what I'm about to bring you in 1 week. Okay. I'm going to come back with my little murder book and it's going to just be full.
You're like, it's going to be like the lady from Harry Potter with her little writing quill thing. And like,
yes. Yeah. Rita Skeeter. I'm going to just like pull a whiteboard of diagrams behind me.
Your murder board?
Okay, so here.
Your disappearance board. All right.
It's going to be like playing behind me.
I have absolutely solved this. Now this connects to this person and that person.
Yeah. It's going to have like little threads all over it.
Yes. Girl, absolutely. But until then, if you're listening and you want to stay tuned to anything else we got going on, you can go to our website, theparallaxpodcast.com. You can click on those little icons that we have there. Click on them, follow us, absolutely, see what we're doing. We sometimes have some little funny things. And I'm going to post a picture of me and Brian when we were kids. When this episode's set to go out, I will put this.
It's so sweet.
I'll put our little picture out there and you can see it. And then stay tuned for episode that follows up next when we do the part 2.
It's going to be crazy. I'm excited already.
Yeah. And if you have an interesting case or you have any kind of information you'd like to add to this, you can email us. Go to info@theparallaxpodcast.com and share your thoughts. Let us know what you think.
Fantastic. And of course, you are always free and welcome to comment below this as well. As with any of our other episodes, if you have any episode suggestions or just thoughts you'd like to share, either email us or comment below, because I'm sure that we'd be more than happy to look through everything that everybody has to say. I'm especially interested to see everyone's thoughts, even though we'll probably, by the time this drops, we'll have already talked about our theories. I'm still very interested to see what everyone else's are, because I am baffled. I am baffled right now.
Yeah, I've literally opened a rabbit hole for you.
Yes, that was rude.
You're welcome. Well, you could just go find Jamie and tell him to take one of his rabbits.
I will take one of his rabbits, actually. He needs to look out. I will. Michael will say no, and that won't matter because I'll bring it home anyway.
Until next time, mortals, I'm Karisa.
And I'm Willow, and we will see you next week.